Nice to see you all here. So this is the last of the series this year of the AMI Ayurveda Mother and Infant Talks. We have begun with the preconception, then conception, and then pregnancy, then birth, then postpartum. And this one is from 7 weeks to 2-3 years of age. So what does Ayurveda have to say about all this time? Let me share a slide with you, and then we can take it from there. Can you see this? Can everybody see this okay?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can see.
Good. Okay, so this is Ami Toddler Years presentation. So, whoops. The wonderful thing about this is we can sow the seeds for an easier ride through the terrible twos, toddler time, before they walk. But how? So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about, just touch briefly on breastfeeding, weaning, potty training, bedtime routines, language development, role of sensory stimulation, approach to discipline and boundaries, and socialization. That's a whole big long mouthful. Mouthful of things. So obviously we're only going to be able to touch briefly on these things. So how do we do it? Let's start talking about why breastfeeding and daily massage is the best insurance for a healthy child, and what happens in this breastfeeding period. So as everyone, as I'm sure all of you know, but we'll just put this here to remind us that when women breastfeed and are able to do it successfully, then it really does help the health and development of children, and it also helps the health of the woman, and leads to for the baby cognitive development and learning and education, improved productivity. Actually, amazingly enough, they've done studies which shows that babies that have been breastfed also earn more and contribute more to the economy. I thought that was just, taking the whole picture is interesting. So nearly 100% of pregnant moms say they want to breastfeed for the first 6 months to a year, but only 10 to 20% in the Western world manage to do so. Why? Why is there such a low rate of being able to continue with breastfeeding after they desire to? Well, it's not as easy as it looks. Women have been breastfeeding since time immemorial, but now in this modern age, there are a lot of problems that come up. And there's no, there's La Leche League, but there are very few breastfeeding consultants. And women they may meet these things, which, these boundaries and barriers, which they just can't get through, and they give up. So one interesting thing is that the milk supply, there may be problems with milk supply, there may be problems with letdown response, there may be problems with the baby latching on, there may be problems with the nipple being inverted, there may be lots and lots of different problems that can come up. And unless you've got somebody who's a good breastfeeding consultant and who's there and easy to reach and right there for you, well, you can see women stop. In fact, there's a 50% rate of women who stop breastfeeding in the first week. And then it goes down from there, so that by the time it's 6 months, most women have stopped. It's just too much. So Ayurveda has got a lot of things to help with this. And one of them is basically to be quiet and to be settled and to have the right kind of food and to bond with the baby. And then the milk supply comes in without any problems. And when you're not distracted, looking on the phone, talking to somebody, having all this crazy noise around, the baby is settled and the baby can get a good latch. And if there's a problem with the latch, then the breastfeeding consultant can be there to show how much. But essentially, you need to take baby needs to take the whole areola in the mouth so that the nipple is at the back of the throat. And if you don't get a good latch, then the nipple is going to hurt, it's going to get raw, it's going to crack and bleed over time, and then the woman wants to give up. So these are just a few things that happen in breastfeeding, but Ami has got wonderful help for breastfeeding, and it can happen anytime with mastitis, with getting a block of the duct, and then the engorging and being really painful. So there are lots of things that can happen with breastfeeding, and it isn't just a simple thing. Oh, what's the problem? Women have been feeding babies ever since humans were there. What's the big deal? Well, that's why we've got breastfeeding consultants. Alex, that was for you. So then what happens? Let me go back to the next thing, next slide here. So this is what we just said, good intentions. This is the chart of America in 2008. And you can see that even in the first week, they're augmenting the breastfeeding with other milk. And then eventually 6 months, 9 months, it's down to nothing. And it's totally augmented milk. So that's about breastfeeding. We're going to just briefly touch on these subjects, but it's an introduction. So now you want to go off feeding milk and you want to go to solid foods. How do you do that? What does Ayurveda say? And how do you know when to start weaning a baby, and how do you go about it? This is such a cute, typical picture, isn't it, of the babies? Makes you laugh. So the key point, obviously, if you're going to go off of milk and onto solid foods, what do you need? You need teeth, don't you? You can't eat anything unless you've got teeth. So Ayurveda says that when the baby starts teething and the teeth start coming in, that's the time to start weaning the baby, because it's a long process. It's not overnight. So, a teething baby, it's chewing on everything because it's rubbing against the gums where the tooth is erupting, and they're very tight area where you can see the white of the tooth, but then you've got the layer of skin over it. So there's teething biscuits and all sorts of things that you can do to help with the teething. And there are some herbal remedies, the clove oil you can put on, but it's very, very strong for a new baby. And when the teething starts coming in, that's the time that you can start going on solid foods, but you don't introduce solids straight away. What you introduce is rice water. So you cook rice with lots of water, and then you feed the baby rice water with a dropper. So you pick a little of the food up in a dropper and you put it in the mouth. And then if the baby can handle the spoon, you can spoon feed it in. But there's a whole process where you want to do one food at a time, and you introduce that one food and you check to see if there are any reactions, any allergies, any food intolerances from that one food. And once that's clear, then you start introducing other foods. And there's a whole sequence in Ayurveda that starts with rice. So you start with grains, and then you gradually progress to other foods. I know that in the Western world, a lot of mums begin with bananas because they're easy to mush up, and a baby without teeth can easily mush up and swallow bananas. But Ayurveda has a different approach, because there's more to weaning than just what you eat. You have to remember that the baby has got a brand new digestive system, and that system has to be seeded with the correct flora and fauna, microbiome, to build a strong digestive system. So it's important from the standpoint of Ayurveda that we don't just give them that mushed up baby food that you buy in a tin or in a jar, but the food has lots of prana. So you start with fresh food, and you cooked, but not canned, not not food that's been processed for a long time and sitting in a jar that has very low prana or life energy. And that's how you proceed. So there's a whole sequence for that, which Ami can teach, which builds the proper digestive system and a strong digestive system, and decreases the chances of colic and baby crying and not being able to sleep due to stomach pain. Very slowly, very gradually, very kindly building this beautiful new human digestive system. Let's go back to the next slide. Then the next question is, what about potty training? When is a child ready to start potty training, and how do you do it? There's such a cute picture of this baby looking at this, baby potty and thinking, now what? And you can see he's wearing a nappy or diapers, and he's curious about how to begin it. Well, before we answer that question, let me ask you another question. Modern cloth nappies. Why? So this is a picture that I found from The Guardian, which is a newspaper in England. And this woman, a modern woman, today's woman, actually, there's an article in The Guardian this year of this mum who is using cloth diapers. But you can see they're not the old-fashioned straight type. They are actually form-fitted with some Velcro. And you can see on the right, there's these little packets which are sort of waterproof that go over the cloth nappy. Obviously, with cloth nappies, compared to the plastic ones, you're not filling up landfill sites, and you're not creating, you're not using up all that plastic. And there's another very, very interesting reason why we use cloth nappies. I used cloth nappies, the modern ones, with my own kids. And the reason that it was very helpful with potty training is, why do you carry the baby on your body? Look at these beautiful African women who have their babies right on them. Now, are these babies wearing nappies? No, they're not. So the mother has to be very attentive to the squiggling and the squirming of the baby, and she will know straight away, you've got to go potty, you've got to go wee. And then she just quickly lifts the baby out of the carrier and holds the baby up, and the baby wees. So the nice thing about cloth nappies is that the baby knows immediately when it wees, and because it can feel it. It's the absorbent plastic, nappies, they immediately absorb it, and the baby becomes sort of desensitized to the fact that they're actually weeing. But with cloth nappies, the baby realizes immediately. My two kids cried and said, I want my nappy changed, in so many words with their crying. And so they are aware that they're weeing, and that awareness is really helpful to potty training. Because when the baby realizes that it's got to wee, and it knows that it's going to be uncomfortable when it wees, and it's going to be in a wet nappy, there's the brain twigs. Okay, now instead of this, I can go to the potty. And it pulls down its nappies, and it sits on the potty. So that's very helpful for potty training. Now let's go to the next one. This is about brain development and sensory stimulation. Now, the senses bring in information to the brain, and then the brain understands, analyzes, thinks, and that results in development of the brain because connections get made, different areas of the brain develop. And then there's an output, which is actions, turns the face from the sound, more focus on the sensory input, body movement, trying to move towards the thing you like or move your face away from the thing you don't want. And all of this has key development times. So if there isn't certain kind of sensory stimulation at certain key times in the development of the brain, there's deprivation, then those areas don't develop so well. And we can see that in school. We can see babies who haven't had the kind of stimulation, sensory stimulation, that they needed because there was some deprivation in their growing up, and they're much slower the brain development is much slower. So they're slower at school, they're slower to read, they're slower socialization, they're slower to because the brain just hasn't had that chance at the key development times to develop as well as it could with babies that had the stimulation. So the more talking you have, the more showing of things, the more love, and the more just sharing of experiences of daily life, not just plunking a kid in front of a TV or, some video games. The little babies are playing video games now. It's amazing. But, there's holding the baby and showing the baby things, talking to the baby, singing, music, cuddly toys, all sorts of things to do. Then the next thing is language development. In the same way, you can see these pictures of neural connections being made with experiences. Here's on the left is newborns, and then on the right is children. So over time, what happens is that many, many neural connections get made, and there are specific areas in the brain related to language development and speech. So I won't go into those areas, but it's quite interesting how neuroscience has discovered these areas, Wernicke's area, Broca's area, and how the development of those areas of the brain, again, depends on experiences and talking to the baby. So the more you talk with your baby, the more the baby experiences conversations between adults and other children, the more the brain will develop in language ability. And the key time to teach a baby more than one language is those very, very early years, because then the mouth will be able to form the way you form the letters, French oui or si in Spanish, or Polish, I don't know. What is yes in Polish, Wanda?
Tak.
Tak. But it takes all the neural pathways to be stimulated in a certain way so that your mouth can form. Otherwise, we learn later and we have an accent. But so the early years are the perfect time to start picking up more than the mother tongue, but other languages. And that's because of the language development. And the more you talk with the baby, the more you expose the baby to hearing different languages, the more language will develop. And now let's go to the next area of discussion. So this is quite interesting. This is approach to discipline and to boundaries. Modern psychology identifies 4 different basic types of approach to discipline and boundaries. One is called the authoritative, which is quite different from the authoritarian. The authoritative explains the reasons for things and allows the child to express their opinion and comes to some agreement, which is with the intention of the parent. Authoritarian is pretty much just laying down the law, and that's the way it is. Permissive is not having many boundaries and believing that the child can discover the boundaries for themselves. And uninvolved is pretty much leaving the kid to it. It's the adult is focused on their own life and not so much on the child's. So with Ayurveda's approach, well, what do you think Ayurveda's approach would be? Which one of these? Any ideas? You can put it in the chat, or you can unmute and say. Anybody say anything? No. Well, number one. Yes, number one. Thanks, Lewis. That's right. So yes, number one is the Ayurvedic approach, which is from a loving space, but with protection and boundaries, and from the wisdom of the adult's point of view, and but still exposing the child to lots of different experiences, lots of different people, lots of different foods and tastes and music and cultures and so that a person is not limited, but there's a wide exposure, and then there's no fear of different cultures and languages and points of view and foods and opinions, but there's a strong moral fiber, there's a strong anchor, if you will, in the parent's point of view for giving those boundaries to raise the child. Let's go to the next section, which is, oh yes, bedtime routines. Bedtime routines. A lot of parents have trouble getting the kid to bed. And just like with everything, what we learned in the postpartum 6 weeks, that having a routine makes it easier for the baby to know what to expect and to follow through with that routine every day. And then they know, okay, and after we do all of this, then I can go to sleep peacefully. So this is one recommended routine that's quite traditional in Western society, that they take a bath, get in their pajamas, they brush their teeth, or they have their teeth brushed for them. And then there's good night hugs and cuddles. There's a last potty, story time, last kisses, and then off to sleep in peace within those boundaries of a routine. So bedtime routines really are very helpful. And when we wean a baby, and one of the first feeds, one of the last feeds actually to go, is the bedtime feed, because that's very, very comforting and a lovely way to fall asleep. However, when the teeth start to come in, do you want the baby drinking milk and then falling asleep with all that milk going on the teeth and then causing the teeth to rot? No. So when the teeth start to come in, then we need to introduce brushing the teeth and not having that last feed, so that the teeth can stay healthy and not get ruined by food sitting on it all night, even if the food is milk. So some of the routines need to be adjusted for as the child grows. Then let's go to the next one, which is socialization. So socialization, you can see these little babies are looking at the middle baby who's got something in the bowl. We don't know what it is, but they're very interested in what it is. And sharing is so, so important. Teaching a baby to share what they have. And one of the things that Ayurveda emphasizes is, I know that Western culture very much believes in this is mine and this is yours. And when parents have, they share the idea with a child that these are your things, and when people come here, you can share them, and then they're yours and theirs. So many fights and toddlers start, but it's mine, he took it, it's mine. So to teach sharing with a child is very important. And as the child gets older, there are other aspects to this which can be introduced to the family life, which is having family meetings and discussing what it is that you want, and having a money pot and seeing, helping teach a child how to handle money. Well, okay, you want this is how much money we have for this week, and your brother wants that, and you want that, and so how are we going to spend this money? And that again is teaching about sharing and about joint responsibility for our things. And if if he takes all the money for this, then you won't have that money for you. If you take all the money for what you want, then your brother won't have all the money that they want for this thing. So we need to share responsibility. We need to share our toys. We need to share money, and we need to share the responsibility of this. So these are just some of the topics that Ayurveda has beautiful approaches to. And we're coming to our 30 minutes. And are there any questions or comments?
Hello, I would like to ask one question. Yes, Deepika here. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So how to encourage if mother wants to feed a baby, then how to encourage the milk? Sometime, it's the lack of milk itself.
Okay, there are many aspects to this. If a mother is nervous and anxious and worried, and if she's having to work a lot and she's not resting during those first 6 weeks of postpartum, then that's when the milk supply gets established with a specific diet. With our postpartum program of AMI, there are keys, which is diet and rest and routine and oleation and massage. DROM, DRROM is the acronym for that. And when we have all 5 of those things, DRROM, then we've really found that there's no problem with the milk supply coming in. But if the mother is really having to do too much and she's not resting during that postpartum period, then she has trouble with the milk supply coming in. And then after 6 weeks, she just gives up, even if she hasn't given up before that. There are other aspects to this as well. So one thing that we talked about briefly is a mother might have a really good milk supply, but she doesn't get the proper letdown response. And that is psychological. And that psychological aspect comes from various different things. One is from the bonding of the baby. So if she's had a medicalized birth, she's had a dural puncture, or she's had some pain medication, then that decreases the ability to bond with the baby from the very first, when the baby's born.
Moment, yeah.
And that's why we recommend learning the baby massage, because baby massage increases oxytocin and prolactin in the mother when she massages the baby, and that increases the bonding of her to her baby, which is lovely, beautiful. And then when that bonding is there, when she hears the baby's cries, automatically the letdown response happens and the milk starts to flow out of her breasts, out of the nipples. So those are 2 aspects that can affect that. Now, diet plays a huge role. If the mother is not having enough liquids, if she's not having enough ghee or oleation in her diet, if she's not having the proper kinds of foods, which are vata decreasing, which is what you have to have in the postpartum period, because it is air or vata, vayu, which pushes the baby out. So every mother is out of whack with vata as soon as the baby is born. So what you need to pacify is vata aggravation for every single new mom. And so it's important the foods that she has. And with those proper foods, and there are also some herbs and rasayanas like fennel and fenugreek, tea, drinking lots of that, 2 quarts a day, then there's no problem with milk supply coming in. with the AMI program, we found nobody has a problem with milk supply, but all of those, diet, rest, routine, oleation, and massage, those are the keys.
So can you please explain what is this AMI program? I'm joining you first time, so I'm a bit
Okay,
confused.
lovely. Now, AMI is Ayurveda Mother and Infant, and that is the organization here, which is being promoted by Sri Sri Tattva. And our programs have to do with preconception, well, and getting ready to have a baby, getting the body ready, getting the mind ready, getting the emotions ready. So that's preconception. And then with conception, a lot of women these days or partners are having trouble with fertility. So we do what we can to help with that from the standpoint of Ayurveda and conception, and then pregnancy, and then birth, and then postpartum, and then the first 2-3 years of the baby's life. So this is what AMI deals with. We also deal with menopause. We also deal with puberty. We also deal with male menopause because it's a real thing.
So is it to become mother, or I was thinking, because I want to practice Ayurveda. I mean, I want to do consultation.
Are you an Ayurvedic doctor?
Practitioner. No, I'm not a doctor, but I'm learning to become a practitioner.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So,
So
yeah.
that's the specialty. We actually, AMI also trains Ayurveda doulas. So we train how to give the mother massage and how to give the baby massage and how to do the diets and the herbs and all those things. So
oh, wonderful. So
yeah.
where to look for them? I mean, how I
Why
can
don't
approach?
you, maybe Louis, you can put in the chat, you can put our email and you can put our landing page, and we are about to go online actually with a baby massage training program. And this is our first online program, which is a do-it-yourself. So we can teach, there Louis has put ami@iahv.org.uk. That is our email. So we're about to go online with this do-it-yourself baby massage training program where families can learn how to massage their baby by following this program online. And we also have, it's a 3-tiered program. One is a do-it-yourself. The second tier is with some, oh yeah, this is the Instagram. So, yeah. So the second tier is you involve Ayurvedic consultation with an Ayurvedic doctor, and then the third tier is where you actually have hands-on, where we're showing you one-to-one, and any questions or problems are right there. So that's for that. We're eventually going to have the whole program go online, but at the moment we've been teaching this program in the Canadian Art of Living ashram in outside of Montreal for the past summers. I can't remember, maybe for the last 7-8 years, can't remember exactly. But with COVID, we haven't been able to do that. So we have been starting to put the program online. We had online Ayurveda doula training course in the summer as a pilot program, which actually went very well. And we're also training some Ayurveda doulas. Anne Revington is my co-founder, and she's there. She's just finished, or in the process of finishing, training some Ayurveda doulas in the mother massage. So everything is going online, and we'd love to have you.
Actually, we are blessed, isn't it? Because we can do it. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for me physically go to Indian ashram or Canadian ashram.
Yeah.
So so how much do you charge, or are there any charges there? Or
oh yes, there are charges for learning to do these things, and well, we can be in touch with you.
Okay.
about
Yeah,
the detail.
I have one more question. Is it possible to get the recording previous what you have been discussing, because I think I missed them?
Yes, of course, of course. We've got a recording for all of the things, like I said, the preconception, the conception, the pregnancy, the birth, the postpartum, and now the first couple years of the baby's life. Sure. So if you
Yeah.
put your email into the
Email.
chat, then we can put you on our mailing list, and we can send you the past recordings and get and keep in touch with you about our programs.
That would be great.
Yeah, wonderful.
I received your email. That is how I got today, because because I think you are mostly on weekends, right? So I think that
Yes.
I tend to forget them. But because I got email and I,
Ah, good. Well, that worked.
yeah. So you got my email, right? deepikabhatia@hotmail.co.uk.
Louis, you got it, right? You captured it in the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm on my mobile, so I'm a bit more with my headphones
Mobile
on.
is hard
So
to go between things.
sorry.
We have it.
Okay. Good. It was nice listening to you.
Good. You can't go into very much depth, but you can see the breadth of everything. Dr. Gopika or Veronica, do you have any questions? Or Alice?
Yes, one question. So I have the same project like Deepika, so I will be grateful that you sent me some information also to my email.
Oh, great. Did you put your email in the chat?
Yes,
okay, good.
I did it. And I'm curious if Ayurveda said something about allergy. I mean, when mother is breastfeeding and baby has some allergy from the beginning of his birth.
Yes, Ayurveda has a lot to say about this, actually. And that's why the mother's diet is so important, because there are certain foods that if the mother eats, the baby will have a reaction or will get a rash on its bottom, or will get colic for sure. And there are certain foods which cause this, which if the mother eats, then the baby will get bad reactions. So some of those are because, like we said, we're building, and it's so beautiful, we're building the baby's digestive system. And it's so beautiful that every single day the mother's milk is made according to the needs of the baby that day. So somehow there's a communication between the suckling of the baby and its needs and what the mother's milk produces. Sometimes her milk will produce more calcium. Sometimes it will give more, whatever. The nutrients change on a daily basis depending on the needs of the mother. This has been discovered recently by modern science, which I think is mind-blowing. It's so beautiful that there's this communication. Ayurveda says that there are certain foods which you want to avoid during the first 6 weeks of postpartum, because it can create allergies, and it can create gas and colic and a lot of pain. It can cause nappy rash for the baby. So just
you can say some an
example.
example.
Yes, I'm about to give you 2 examples. So one is brassica family, so the cabbage family, so broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, all the brassicas, so the cabbage family, they have a lot of sulfur in them, and that creates gas and wind, and it also makes the milk kind of sulfury tasting, and the baby can get wind and colic from that milk if the mother is eating a lot of brassicas, a lot of cabbage family. That's one thing. Another thing is a lot of too acidic foods. So if she's having too many oranges and tomatoes, too acidic, then that's going to give the baby, again, it can give the baby nappy rash. It comes through in the taste of the milk. and the baby can develop an intolerance for it later on, and can give the baby wind and a sore bottom. Those are just two examples.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, it's, Ayurveda is so wise about these things, and Western medicine hasn't a clue. And that's why, this grassroots approach of Ayurveda, AMI program, Ayurveda Mother and Infant, directly to the families through our city support groups and through our programs is really necessary at the grassroots. Modern medicine has one approach, but Ayurveda has got something which is very, very subtle and hasn't been discovered by modern medicine, the reasons for these things. Gopika, you have a question?
Hi, actually, this is the first experience for me. First time I'm attending this session.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne, because she sent me the link. So I'll search in your site also the previous classes. It's interesting, quite interesting, and very informative also. The same thing we are doing here also in Kerala, actually.
Oh, you're in Kerala. Oh, so are you doing a mother and baby program there for Ayurveda?
Not especially for mother and baby, for women. That's what. Stri Roga. So sometimes we will get the pregnant ladies also, but we are treating for the menopause stage, puberty, all those from the childhood to the adult stage.
Wonderful.
So in that everything is coming, the same way. So all treatments and internal medication, especially diet, yoga, then counseling,
meditation, breathing.
Yeah, all those things we are covering. So I'm also living in the same way. So it's very interesting. So happy to hear from you. It's very good.
Glad you could join us. And it's great to hear you're doing that in Kerala. Wonderful. I love Kerala.
Oh, great. Great. I'm running a center here. That's why. It's only for women. Ayurvedic center.
Ah, good. It's an Ayurvedic center for women.
Yeah.
Ah, how wonderful. That's great. A nice specialty. Very needed. Yeah.
That's what. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Then Louis?
Yeah.
Anne, do you want to say something? I saw Anne, you're coming forward. Did you want to say something, Anne? Or Wanda?
Thank you so much, Sue, for a beautiful presentation and information. Yeah, it was amazing. And I'm also very happy that Veronica is here. She's an amazing mom of 3 children.
Ah, how old are your children, Veronica?
My daughter, Sophia, she's 7. My first son, Leon, 3. And my second son, 6 months.
Oh, what a beautiful spread. Wow. So this knowledge is really, really relevant to you.
Yeah.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah, I wanted to add, Sue, that you mentioned the baby massage that we are launching. This is the first online course that we are going to be launching on December. So this news is like pre-launch for you, okay? You are the first one that are listening to this special information. So for quite of time, these lovely ladies have gained a lot of experience, even of a lifetime, and they packed it in a very special way. I'm talking about Anne, Sue, and Wanda. They packed it on this course that It's not too long, very easy to follow, and you can do it on your pace, on demand. So we set it up on this platform, or on Simplero. It's a platform where you experience the whole course, and the very special thing is that it gives you all the details about the baby massage, the Ayurvedic approach for baby massage. So it shows you one that gives a perfect on it, and hands-on on how to do it, what type of oils, things, little subtle things like temperature, the 6 worms, no, something like that. I wonder if you want to help me a little bit, but it's a very good, and it's the first time that we will have it online. I think it was Deepika that mentioned that it's difficult sometimes to go and get trained somewhere, time, cost, everything. So having it on your reach like this, so easy, is a really good opportunity. And even if you don't have children right now, or this is a very special gift you can give, for Christmas also. So will you be interested in knowing more about that when we launch? So who here is interested in having a look on that? Okay. Yeah, so we have the way that you came into this webinar. So we'll send you the information there. If you have a special and you want to receive it, like personally, leave your number here, and we can send it all the information to you. Ladies, if you want to complete something about the baby massage course.
No, I think you've done a great job of promoting it. We're very excited that this program is going to go online. And
yeah. So how sorry to interrupt. How many days it would be? How many days it will?
Yeah,
it's a do-it-yourself program, and you want to speak, so you do it at your pace.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay,
yeah,
good.
There are like a few models, and you go by your time. If you don't have time to end one model, you can see half, pause it, and then come again and see it.
Okay, but what if I have questions? If I thought it's one-to-one first demonstration. Like I mean not one-to-one, but somebody's demonstrating and I am asking questions. That is how I am expecting to be the course.
Well, do it yourself means that there are online instructions. Wanda has made a beautiful video. There are some PowerPoints that you watch. It's broken into different units, and you work your way through it. And there's instruction sheets, and you do it on your own. You can, if you're pregnant, you can practice on a doll, so that when the baby does come, you've had some experience doing it on a doll. So you do it at your own pace, in your own time, in your own sequential way. But that's what do it yourself is. But there are 3 different levels. Do it yourself is one level, and then there are 2 other tiers. One, the 3rd tier, as I was explaining, is completely personalized, and then the middle tier is a combination of personalized and module.
No, I'm sorry.
Can I just add there?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Can I just? Oh, sorry, Deepika. I think I can. What you're wanting is, while you're doing that coaching program, whether you can get help. The answer is yes. We have an email there that's looked at every day. We get back to you quickly there. And we're also doing a once a month private Facebook, which you sign on to there as a group. And there'll be one of us each month talking to you about the program and any problems you've got. So there's plenty of backup service there with it. We don't just leave you to get on with it. That wouldn't be right.
Yeah, thank you, Anne, for clarifying that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you're not on your own through the whole thing. We're there for you. We're there.
Because I'm looking from a practitioner point of view. So I'm sure there will be difficulties, right? There, when I will start practicing, I don't know whether you give certificate or insurance. I don't know. I think I have to look at into that as well.
Yeah. Deepika, the program for training you as a practitioner is different than this one. This one is primarily, or it is just for coaching families. It's set up for that. It's not set up to train you and check you and certify you. We do that too, but that's a different program.
Yeah, this is the self-help for families, but that's one track, self-help for families. And then there's another track, which is training practitioners. And
okay.
That's completely different.
So can you please send me information about that one as well, the training practitioner?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I'll do that, Deepika.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
We
you.
can have an in-depth chat. Yeah.
And also, as you were talking about the two levels, the for families or for you to have it you for your family or to gift it, and the other one is for practitioners to train yourself, like to practice. So this one is a good opportunity to have a glimpse on what the other one, you'll be preparing for, trained for. So, and it's a special launch price. It will be $50 American dollars. So it's very accessible, to have this first glimpse. And then you see that it's very detailed, and like every stroke, every movement, every detail has been described there, the Ayurvedic approach for this. So it will give you a good, look on what there after that you will be trained. Yeah. So this is the result of the other one. So good opportunity, and also a good gift, as I told you. Is what better gift that imagine the first gift of a baby, if it was born that year, being such a special tool for connection between the mother or the father and the baby. And when this happens, as Sue was taught us today, the most probable thing is that the baby sleeps well. And as Wanda says every time she has to say it, when a baby sleeps well, the whole family sleeps and the whole family is happier. So it's a win-win. Right? All right, ladies. Well, with this, I think our session is coming to an end. If you have any more questions or comments, you're welcome. And if not, well, thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Sue, for a very wonderful webinar, all the team, and it was lovely to have you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.